we go through the world, we meet different people, different belief systems, not just spiritual or religion, but how the world works, how the world came into being, how it functions. You take a physical reality like the sun, 93 million miles away from planet Earth in a perfect rotation. If it's 1,000,000 miles closer, we barbecue. 1,000,000 miles further at 94 million, we freeze. One of the things maybe the viewers need to realize here is we don't proselytize. Jews aren't looking for converts. But in my own life, coming across people who say, there's no God. How could it be argued that such a reality as the sun is not a truth, an absolute truth? That there's some power that controls this.
So you're asking me to make the argument in the reverse?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first, from the Judaism perspective, we are of the belief that every human being has absolute free choice. Free choice means that they are free to choose whatever they want, even if it makes no sense whatsoever. That means that they can choose good or they could choose evil. If it would be obvious to every person that there is a God and that there is goodness and that they have to choose it, there would be no free choice. So God designed the world in such a way that people have the opportunity to choose whatever they want. They could choose God or reject him. And they're not going to get struck by lightning if they do that. Because if they do, the people who are watching are going to say, I'm not going to do that. And then the free choice goes away. God created a being that's able to spurn him and reject him if he wants. He's free to do whatever he wants. Therefore, you're never going to find an absolute proof of existence of God. If God would peel away the curtain and say, here I am, then the world would be finished because there would be no more reason for it to exist.
So we could eat bacon and cheeseburgers and shrimp and all that stuff.
If you so choose. That's why a person is free to choose. But so now, if you say, what you're referring to is you look at the sun and you say, it's the perfect distance in your mind, it's the perfect distance from the earth. Truth is, you're right. We have a planet that's a little bit off, that shows us what could be. That planet is Mars. Mars is just a little bit too far away from the sun. You know, in the science fiction, they have this thing called terraforming, where you can change a planet to make it livable like planet Earth. But the truth is, it's not livable. You would have to live in a container like we do in the Arctic that protects us from the elements. Planet Earth is the only livable planet that we know that humans can live on, where there is just enough heat, the temperature is just right, just enough oxygen, etc. And it almost seems like, if you look carefully, that situation was set up by God. That is what the philosophers call the design theory. The design theory means I look at the world and I instinctively feel like it was designed by somebody. Not that it just came haphazard into the world, but it was designed that way. You know, you walk into your teenager's room, you open the door, and you see that the world was not designed. It's total chaos, right? You walk into an adult room and you see that it's put together, everything is in its place, everything's clean and neat. See that it was designed. The example that they give, the philosophers gives is you're walking through the desert, and all of a sudden you see in the desert a fully functional 747 with the cockpit, with the wings, and it flies. You're a pilot, you get into it, it flies. So the person next to you says, over billions of years, there has been movement in the universe, the coming together and expansion of molecules, and by accident, I know the odds are against it, but by accident, this plane was formed. That's how it just came into being. So your instinctive reaction is, no, that's crazy. Somebody built this plane. There's a human that built this plane. So you look at the sun, you look at the world, you look at the human body, and you say, that's crazy. Somebody must have designed that. So you're saying, how could people possibly believe that there is no God after they see that? One answer is that they just don't think about it. People don't think in those terms. People are born, they find themselves in the world, they're used to it, and they just don't think about it. If they do think about it, there are plenty of philosophers that have excuses. They say it's a design theory because in our experience, we have design. But we've never seen a universe form from a big bang by itself. So since we've never seen that, how do we know how it forms? Maybe this is the way it forms. And just because we see and it looks like it's designed, doesn't mean that our assumption is right. Maybe it is whatever it is, evolution, survival of the species. The world evolved this way. You're going to say, what are the chances? Chances are small. But it happened over billions and billions and billions of years. That's a very long time. So for that, a person can say, I don't believe in God. I just don't. He's not in my experience. He's not in my world. I have nothing to do with him. I never saw him. I don't know who he is. I don't believe in him.
Got it.